Morning, guys. Meditation is a little late this morning. I actually recorded it and realized I hadn't pressed the button. So um, here we go again. I hope you're doing well this morning. Okay, so listen, get comfortable. Uh, feel the seat beneath you. Close your eyes. Become aware of your breath. Just settle yourself. Just tune into how you're doing this morning. Notice how you're doing. Notice what's there for you this morning. Okay, I'm going to read you just a little bit from David White. It's entitled Ground. Ground is what lies beneath our feet. It is the place where we already stand, a state of recognition, the place or the circumstances to which we belong, whether we wish to or not. It is what holds and supports us, but also what we do not want to be true. It is what challenges us physically or psychologically, irrespective of our hoped for needs. It is the living, underlying foundation that tells us what we are, where we are, what season we are in, and what, no matter what we wish in the abstract, is about to happen in our body, in the world, or in the conversation between the two. To come to ground is to find a home in circumstances and in a very physical body, and in the very physical body we inhabit in the midst of those circumstances. And above all, to face the truth, no matter how difficult that truth may be. To come to ground is to begin the courageous conversation, to step into difficulty, and by taking that first step, begin the movement through all difficulties, to find the support and foundation that has been beneath us, beneath our feet all along. A place to step into, a place on which to stand, and a place from which to step. So part of our nervous system is simply not designed to acknowledge the ground beneath us. It's not designed to feel safe, to feel held, to feel part of something bigger. Because its job has always been to protect us from that which is dangerous, that which is groundless. And this is a perfectly normal part of our nervous system, but can tend to run riot. It can tend to be switched on too much of the time. And it is very persuasive in telling us these stories of why we need to be protected. The invitation of a practice like this is to begin to open to something else. And in the beginning requires a leap of faith. That we are supported by something bigger, that we are held by something bigger, that we are part of something bigger, that even in the midst of the suffering, even in the midst of our unwanted demise, there is perfection, that everything is where it needs to be, that we are where we need to be. And in the same way, this nervous system that we experience our world through has this mechanism of protection. It also has a mechanism of freedom. And our practice is the technology of awakening, of aligning with and supporting that part of our nervous system without making fear wrong, our fears, without making what is difficult go away, but certainly supporting us in changing our perspective on what it is that we need to be within our lives. That it is possible for each of us to hold what challenges us, what we find uncomfortable, scary within ourselves and within the world, in a way that can be compassionate and kind, holding that bigger perspective. So we're going to move our attention through our body to different points of the body. And we're going to, one, simply be aware of these spaces. So even by bringing the attention to places where it doesn't usually go to, we're creating growth, change. We're teaching the nervous system how to access these places, how to become aware of these places. And you could think about it in terms of all of these parts of us are in relationship to us, or we are in relationship to them. And quite often relationships, good relationships, are defined by some quality of attention or care or kindness. Same principles apply when we're dealing with all of these parts of ourselves. So let's go to the pelvic floor. Bring your attention to that space. Notice it. And then could you imagine a kindness, a blessing, gratitude, or even simply saying thank you to this space? Maybe you could visualize a lightness, a brightness, a spark of light in this space. We go to the second chakra, the emotional center, a finger's length below the navel, deep inside. And again, simply just attuning to this place initially. Again, a blessing to this space. And all these different parts of us have jobs to do in supporting us. Maybe you could imagine a light in this place. Maybe you could bring a light to this space. And this is where the mind really comes into its own as a servant to the bigger system. The intention, the attention, all beginning to create a homeostasis, a rebalancing, a realignment. Let's go to the navel now, the line of the navel. Could you imagine you are wearing a belt made of diamonds across the line of the navel? And imagine this whole ring illuminated now. And that illumination allowing these spaces just to clear out any debris, any blockage, any old patterns. Solar plexus, base of the ribs, diaphragm. As you bring awareness, can you bring kindness? Imagine the space illuminating. And then to the heart. Feeling into this space. We know how much this space does for us. What we're able to feel and experience because of this space. And we bless it. Thank it. Imagine an illumination of this space. Like the sun. Radiating light. And then we go to the cylinder of the neck, the throat. Right into the middle, into the darkness. Simply resting your awareness there. Blessing this space. Your way of communicating with the world, sharing your hopes, needs, desires, intentions. To imagine the space illuminated, that cylinder filling with light. Third eye, in line with the eyebrows, but deeper beneath the brain, deep in the skull. in the beginning, when we're doing these practices, quite often it can be difficult to find these places with the mind. It's just not used to it. But the more you do it, the easier this becomes. Could you imagine this space illuminating? Could you bring thanks or a blessing to this space? Even imagining you could smile at this space. We go to the crown of the head now. Again, simply noticing in the beginning, just letting the awareness be here. And then as you bless this space, you bring balance back. So all of these areas, every part of us has a deep order, has a design. And through this attention, we facilitate everything coming back into balance. Imagine the space lighting up. We go a foot above that, a foot above the crown of the head. Can your mind tune into that point? And to bring the same attention, the same kindness, smile. Imagine the space illuminating. And then if we were to deepen the breath, could you imagine that you are breathing up through this channel, up through each of these points, from the base, pelvic floor, all the way up through each point. The breath is a river of light. And as you get up to that top point above the head, the breath cascades down in every direction, forming a shell of light around you, all the way down over the body. And then as you inhale, moving up again through this central channel. Could you imagine this? And then let the breath just come back to its natural rhythm. And we'll drop any of the imagery just to feel into the sensation of the body. Be aware of how you're doing. The sense of buoyancy in your system, lightness. So the mechanism of the sympathetic nervous system that is here to protect us, to keep us safe, it just becomes dominant, and it creates habits in terms of how we hold ourselves through physical, energetic, psychological, emotional, all of these different bodies, containers. And this type of practice allows us just to begin to free up those holdings, to realign, to come back into balance. We bring the hands now together in front of the heart. And this is all we're doing, is we're just bringing all these parts of us back into balance in relationship to this space of the heart, this space of deeper wisdom, deeper knowing. So this place becomes more accessible to us. And this is the space that can look into the world and see all of the suffering, all of the challenges. This is the space that can hold our own inevitable demise. And in the same breath and in the same moment, experience joy, kindness, compassion. This place is beyond reason and rationale. It is something deeper within us. Something that knows that there is perfection and appropriateness, and that we are where we need to be in this moment. And the gift of our practice is not only awakening to this within ourselves, but then being the way in which this deeper wisdom moves into the world. That we become the conduits. And in this way, we change the world. To ourselves, to each other, this morning we bow. Good work. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow, unless you're coming to the workshop at 10. And I hope you have a great day. Okay. Bye.